Soundstripe.
Welcome to our podcast, When Life Gives You Lemons. I'm Kevin Henry, and my partner in crime and life is Palmi Henry. I have a rare disease known as spinal cell ataxia, which is a neuromuscular disease. This has left me mobility challenges as well as with a speech impediment and noise-induced anxiety.
Living with these disabilities for over 20 years, we have developed helpful hints and life lessons that we would like to share with you that has made our life easier and possible in some cases. We consider ourselves disability advocates and intend to educate ourselves and you about other disabilities and issues, and also talk about things we find interesting and frequently encounter when we're out and about. Well, welcome back, Kevin.
Well, thank you, Palmi.
So if you guys listened to the last episode, Kevin was birthing a 9mm kidney stone.
It felt like I was birthing.
So we are 2 hospital stays in, and and the stent has actually been removed, and you're
hopefully kidney stone free.
Well,
yay!
She said the last scan had quite a few in there, so I don't know how long that's going to stay. But hopefully, yes, we've hoped that it'll be for a while.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
There you go. So this episode we're going to do is on Paralympics. Do you know much about it?
I know a little bit more than before we researched.
Yeah, this research, I really like the research part of this. We learn a
lot.
Yeah. Yeah. We, just so you all know how we kind of do our research, Kevin gets a little bit of a brief history and definitions and stuff like that. And then we go searching on YouTube and Wikipedia sometimes and other things. And that's where we get most of our research done from. We do a lot of visual through YouTube, don't we?
It was just today, about an hour's worth of YouTube stuff because there's not a lot there right now because the Paralympics haven't happened yet.
Yeah, speaking of that, do you know the opening ceremony when the opening ceremonies begin? Testing you. August 28th. August 28th. Yep, through September 8th. That is the. That's our historical event. Will be held outside a stadium.
It will be held if you're actually looking for a landmark in Paris in the Arc de Triomphe, the Victory Arch in the middle of town.
Oh, because I'm sure you've been there. Have you not been?
Yes, I have been.
Yeah, during your military.
Yes.
Well, so we got researching here, and I've always wondered where the word Paralympic derives from.
I would assume that as in theme with everything Olympic, it's somehow Greek.
Yep, exactly. It's Greek for para, which means beside or alongside.
The preposition, yeah. The first time I heard it was... all I could think of, this sounds like that was a parachute. And obviously that was dead wrong.
Right. So it means beside or alongside. So meaning that it runs alongside of the normal Olympics.
Which is how it is usually organized in this time now. But
right.
Palmi's going to tell you how it came to be, and that was definitely not.
Didn't start out that way, no.
Didn't start that way, no.
No. So sports for Olympics with impairments have existed for more than 100 years. I found that very, I didn't know that. And the first sport club was for the deaf, and it actually already existed in 1888 in Berlin. It was not until after World War II, however, that it was widely introduced, and the purpose of it was at that time was to assist the large numbers of war veterans and civilians who had been injured during the wartime. In 1944, at the request of a British government, Dr. Ludwig Guthmann opened a spinal injury center at the Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Great Britain, and in time, rehabilitation sports evolved to be recreational sports and then to be competitive sports. So the first Paralympic Games were not called that. They were called Stoke Mandeville Games. And in July of 1948, the day of the opening ceremony of the London 1948 Games, Dr. Guthmann organized the first competition for wheelchair athletes, which he named the Stoke Mandeville Games. It was a milestone in the Paralympic history and involved 16 injured servicemen and women who took part in archery. In 1952, Dutch ex-servicemen joined the movement, and it became an international Stoke Mandeville Games. The first actual Paralympic Games took place in Rome, Italy in 1960 and featured 400 athletes from 23 countries. Since then, they have taken place every 4 years, which they can go along with the actual Olympics. Whether it's winter or summer, they follow with it, usually about a month after the Olympics. In 1976, the first Winter Olympics was held in Sweden. Paralympic was held in Sweden. And as with the Summer Games, they take place every 4 years. It includes an open ceremony and a closing ceremony. In 1960, under the auspices of the World Federation of Ex-Servicemen, an international working group on sports for the disabled was set up to study the problems of sports for people with impairments. And it resulted in the creation in 1964 of the International Sport Organizations for the Disabled. ISOD is what they call it. At the start, 16 countries were affiliated, and they pushed very hard to include blind and amputee athletes in the 1976 Paralympics and athletes with cerebral palsy in the 1980s in California. It aimed to embrace all impairments in the future and to act as a coordinating community, other than disable-oriented international associations such as Cerebral Palsy International Sports and Recreational Association and the Sports Federation for the Blind. Okay, there's a lot of other details in there, and we'll leave in the show notes some links to that. That's paralytic.org if you were going looking for it.
Now, if you're already a fan of the Paralympics, we need to explain this for people who have not ever seen it. I myself have always wanted to see it, but by the time I think of that, it's usually beyond me.
And now
the date has passed.
Yeah. Well, now, because of the internet, you can pretty much visit that year-round via YouTube or even a search on the website.
Yeah, you can.
So it's available anytime. And that's what we did. A lot of our visual research was that. We went back and watched a bunch of different clips of the great moments and stuff.
And they've did a really good job of labeling when it was and such.
Right. So there are 22 para sports with 549 events. I'm just naming a few. I'm not naming them all. This includes wheelchair rugby, para taekwondo, para archery, bocce, para tennis, table tennis, goal ball, which I'm not sure what that is, but
we did see a brief clip, I think, of goal ball.
Yeah, it kind of looked like dodgeball in a sense.
It looked like a
with
tennis court-sized area with two giant goals at the end.
And three goaltenders. and the person that was attending one of them I saw was blind. So there's a wheelchair basketball, para badminton, para swimming, sitting volleyball, and para cycling.
Now, in the interest of fairness, not all these are open to every disability.
Right, we learned that
What
too.
they tried to do is get, for example, blindness competing against blindness, not
Or
blindness competing against
seeing.
sighted disability.
Right. And not just, it varies too. So if you may be blind, but you may be able to see shadows and stuff. And so in that case, you would wear a blindfold so that you have an equal disability.
Correct.
So, and like the races, a lot of races are ran with a guide.
Some of the games are actually designed for blindness, whereas everybody on the team is assigned a position to play with or without goggles.
Right. This is the 17th Summer Paralympic Games. It's the first time in Paris. It's the second time in France. In 1992, there was a game in Albertville. It was a Winter's Olympics. There are approximately 90 events for men and 73 for women, and one mixed event where men and women compete against each other. This is 3 fewer men events than before. The athletes will attend the opening ceremonies, just like the regular Olympics will, how they walk into the stadium or whatever. And they'll also attend the closing ceremonies. The next one.
Speaking of which, let's give the
we're jumping
Olympic
course here.
Opening ceremony. Yeah, kudos. It was really entertaining.
Yeah, we watched the Olympic opening ceremonies, just the regular Olympics, and we thought it was amazing. What am I trying to say?
I really don't know what you're trying to say.
You can't read my mind after all these years. Theatrically, it was very entertaining. I watched a few of them before and kind of got bored. But this was, very exciting all the way through. It has caused some controversy, which we've seen in the internet, but, no one's going to love everything. So, but as far as, I think it's a lot of misunderstanding on the French culture.
It's a lot of misunderstanding, but
yeah.
As I said before, once you're offended, you're offended.
Yeah, everybody's got an opinion. I heard a cute thing the other day.
The really positive thing about that, hold on to that thing thought, is the French government apologized, even though they really did not have much to apologize for, but people were trying to pile on other things that were wrong with it. So in order to nip it in the bud, they went ahead and apologized to people who were affected. And we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So this is what I heard the other day. I thought it was hilarious. Everybody has an opinion, like everybody has a belly button, but we don't always want to hear it or see it.
Yeah, I know a similar, but
go ahead.
I can't repeat it here.
No, it's not repeatable.
No, it's similar in the Army.
Okay. So the athletes are put in categories. So T stands for track, F stands for field events, and then they're separated out by ages. So like the blind 11 through 13 are judged against the 11 through 13 and vice versa. And, and then they have all kinds of, they try to be inclusive of all disabilities. But they have to earn their right there, just like any Olympian has to. They have to go through finals and stuff like that.
They have to qualify for it.
Yeah.
Of course, they have to have their countries okay to represent the country.
Right. It can't be a non-contact sport because there was lots of contact there. That'd be a great one to watch, I think.
Well,
If you like hockey, I think you'd like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of contact in regular basketball. There's
Not.
an excessive amount of contact in wheelchair basketball.
Baseball was at contact. Imagine what rugby would be.
Well, after watching our visual examples, I'm not going to say I can imagine anything because they're all beyond belief.
And then archery and then
when they
para
see football,
marathon.
they're talking about the world's interpretation of football.
Right, soccer.
Not the U.S., where we call it soccer.
But what I found interesting was the medals, and I believe this is the same for the other Olympic medals too. They include an embedded original piece of scrap metal from the Eiffel Tower in the shape of a hexagon, engraved with the Paris 2024 emblem. And on the burst side, it contains a design of the Eiffel Tower viewed from below. And the inscriptions are in Braille. Now, this would be specifically for the Paralympics. The inscriptions are in Braille and line patterns that can be used to identify the medal by touch. Here's a fun fact. Louis Braille is credited as the French educator and inventor who started to establish the Braille language for the sight impaired. It's quite an event. On the Paralympics, there was 300,000 applicants that have applied to be the volunteers and to help with the games. Of that 300,000, there was 45,000 volunteers that were chosen. And Kevin was saying that they're still looking, because it hasn't started yet. They're still looking for volunteers to help with transportational needs and housing needs. So you can always apply if you're interested.
But the heavy lifting part, the people who actually register and come into contact with the athletes have already been assigned and vetted. The ones we're looking for now are people that man phones in range for, like you said before, their transportation needs and their lodging.
Yeah, arranging the housing situations too. There is one major concern that they are having issues with, and it is the accessibility for the disabled people in the transportation networks. It has been a major concern, and they're still working on issues. That would be a huge undertaking, wouldn't it?
It sure would.
Yeah.
I mean, Paris is, one of the larger cities in the world, and by nature of necessity, all the Olympic venues are not, interconnected. They're scattered out. So just getting from one venue to another could be a mobility challenge in itself.
Right.
And they can't afford to have their athletes be delayed by accessibility issues getting from one place to another. They have a schedule to meet.
Recently, the Olympics that's happening right now, they had issues with transportation too. So because of some issue, terrorist type things.
Yeah, but usually it's a lot easier for people who aren't confined to a wheelchair to adapt to a different form of transportation than somebody who is.
Right, exactly.
Relying on that form of transportation to be able to be of use to them.
Well, the whole point of this episode is to make you aware of the Paralympics. And if you're interested in watching it, there is the website for www.paralympics.org, News Paris 2024. It lists the game events and calendars. And that will definitely be on our calendar this year to watch.
Yeah.
We're excited to watch it.
One thing I wanted to do is get an image of the medal as Palmi described it into our show notes, but I have not seen an image for it yet. So I may have to wait a while and add it later.
Okay.
I'll give it a try, but no promises.
Right.
Since the games haven't happened, those images might not exist.
I think we're going to do an episode and be able to announce some of the major winners, specifically U.S. winners in the Paralympics, because that would be of what's interest to us. We do have international listeners, though, don't we?
Yes,
So we might have to do more work than we thought we would.
Fortunately, compared to the Olympics, the Paralympics is quite smaller.
Yeah, it's pared down.
And not because of the lack of disabled interest, but because for almost all events, it has to be approved by the Olympic Committee, and they usually want to see it demonstrated to see how it fits along. They want to make sure it's safe, etc., etc. So you have to be able to show interest in whatever the sport is, and as well as demonstrate it as a demonstration event eventually. Of course, beforehand, you have to have it approved for the IOC to consider it. I just could not stress enough how impressed I was with that Olympic opening ceremony. I can't wait for the Paralympic opening ceremony, because they really hit that Olympic Games opening ceremony out of the park with all the thought, all the creativity they put into it. It told a complete story. And with the Paralympics opening ceremony starting in a different spot, I know it's not going to be the exact same thing condensed or just adapted again for their use, because they're not going the same route.
Right. So it'll be a totally different visual effects and stuff like that.
Hopefully it'll be a totally different experience.
Well,
but they set a high bar with the Olympics, so now they're stuck with that. They've got to do just as well, if not better, at the Paralympics.
I'm excited to watch it. All right. So is there any housekeeping we have to do? Just to remind people to put in to get the picture at the end of the year, right? The artwork.
Our end of season giveaway.
Yeah.
And all that's required is you to sign up to support the show, which will give us your email address. And we are actually going to go as far as to say we're going to, unless there's a last minute flurry of thousands of applicants, we're going to try very hard to respond to each confirmation that we are aware you are entered in the contest.
Yeah, we'll verify it.
And, of course, once we have the drawing, we'll announce whoever won it is. Perhaps they'll even give us a short interview so we can talk to them about it.
Yeah, that might be good. We could set that up with Deanna.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for showing up and listening to us. And we hope you join us when we watch the Paralympics on August 28th as opening ceremonies. The sports events start on the 29th and in the end October 8th.
Yeah, unlike the Olympics, I don't think there are any actual events that occur before they open the games. In the regular Olympics, they have one or two events that have to start before the opening ceremony.
Yep.
And that those athletes, either the ones that had just participated and also the ones who are due to participate early the next day, were not generally allowed to participate in the opening ceremonies.
Right. All right.
Talk to you next time, folks.
We are always looking to improve the podcast, so if you want to hear a specific topic, have a differing opinion, want to add something to the conversation, drop us an email. Our contact information is listed on our website. It's www.whenlifegivesyoulemons.net. We have recently added a companion YouTube channel called Making the Lemonade. If you enjoy the podcast, continue your enjoyment by joining us on YouTube.